I know it is last minute. Yes, I'm just moving stuff around on my desk. Lipstick. Bury Me in Lipsticks, the Sophia Nygaard and ColourPop collaboration, which I rather like. Usually, if you see me on my YouTube videos, I'm usually using Fred, which is the dark red from that, which I have to say, 12-year-old me is probably horrified that almost 50-year-old me is wearing bright red lipstick, because we used to make fun of substitute teachers who did that. Screw it. Last minute notice for folks. I've been meaning to stream for like the past week, and everything just sort of gets in the way. Real life, once you become an adult, has this annoying habit of doing that. So I've got a fresh cup of tea, and I brought down my crochet, mainly so that you guys could see what I've been working on. I will probably put this first part of the stream up on the YouTube channel at some point, just so that folks can see what I've been up to. I know I've been away and not really making a lot of videos over the past month or so, but it's been a time. If you took a look at the last video I posted, you probably know why. And it's just, this first beginning of the year is just really stupid for that kind of stuff. We've had family things happen. And I'm not going to get into it because I don't want to depress you. Needless to say, we're doing fine. We're getting things back on track, and I have been playing with a lot of yarn. It's acrylic, mostly, but it's yarn. And I enjoy that. I also got the reveal shots done for my current sewed piece, and so I am hopefully going to finish editing the video within the next couple of days and have that up for the patrons. Other new business, let's see here. If you are not happy with the ums and ahs, I am very sorry. It happens. Happens a lot. Thanks to my patrons, who I probably should have announced this to earlier, but I only just hit the button on the Amazon cart this morning. I will hopefully soon be able to have a little bit better. I bought another camera. I bought a new camera. The camera that I have been using for my filming of my crafting and my sewing was already somewhat old, like a couple of years old, as far as models came and went when I got it. It was a 15-year sort of anniversary present from the company that I was working for at the time. And of course, you don't get the latest models when they're giving them to you for a, I guess, incentive to remain with them a little bit longer, which didn't really happen. Anyhow, we thought that camera was going to be mainly used by the husbeast for learning photography. Little did we know that I was going to start actually using part of my art college education and start making videos. So I have finally decided to pull the plug on some of the Patreon money, and I am very thankful for my patrons because they are allowing me to get a Canon M50 Mark II, which again is not exactly the latest thing, but it has all of the bells and whistles that I need in order to make videos, as well as hook it up to the computer so that if I want to stream actually showing knitting or crochet or sewing, then I can, and it'll be clear and not blurry like the camera that you are looking at me on right now. I think I will show you some of the stuff that I've been working on. So I'm going to pop that onto the big, you will see big me. There we go. Yes, I have the door open behind me. That is not only so the cat can come in and go out, but also so that you guys can warn me if somebody's going to come and murder me. That is the murder door. And I just dropped my crochet hook. So, crochet hook, ergonomic, because, you know, nothing says I love the environment more than a piece of rubber that makes you, not get carpal tunnel syndrome. It is a 4mm crochet hook, probably from Knit Picks. I've got some that I picked up on my own, so loops and threads, and some that I got from Knit Picks in a kit that I sent away for. This, the right side or the wrong side? This work in progress is a Lost Secrets? No. Lost Pathways? No. I have the pattern. It is, yeah, it's definitely not Lost Highway. That's a movie, and I definitely do not recommend it as a date movie. Secret Paths by Johanna Lindahl, aka Miho Crochet. And it is really quite lovely. I like it. You can't really see it in this lighting, but it is actually quite sparkly. This is a shawl that I am making for my mother-in-law, and her house gets kind of chilly, so it's nice for her to be cozy and warm. Of course, I am using all of my stitch markers to their most potential. And that is the yarn. It is acrylic. It is, I think, Lion Brand Shawl in a Ball. Metallics. Sorry if I'm bonking the microphone. But it has a lot of stitches in it. So I work on, and my mother-in-law is a smoker. So I have a tendency to take it with me when we go visit her. And that way, when she receives it, if it smells like cigarette smoke, she won't mind. Because acrylic doesn't always block all that great. This bag, Doctor Who bag, man, this is sounding a lot, this is looking a lot like a knitting podcast circa like 2005. Oh goodness. Socks. That is a sock, and if you think that it is horribly large or strangely large, you would be correct. This is a sock for a size 14 foot. Narrow. And I think that loops and threads. See, at one point, I added a few things to the stash from stuff I bought at Michael's. Not that this is an advertisement for Michael's. Yeah, that looks like a loops and threads logo in there. It's the ball. When it comes to plain vanilla socks that have to go through a lot of wear and tear, I like to use a yarn that feels like it's going to be sturdier than something that will fall apart in the wash or will get worn through if somebody wears it with a pair of combat boots, which it probably will, but you never know. Dad isn't likely to wear combat boots, though. These socks are me getting caught up on the Christmas knitting for him because his feet are so bloody big. That is sock number 1. Sock number 2. Oh, somebody's following. Thank you. Hi. um, it's not giving me any kind of notifications. So if people are doing things that bring up the notifications and I totally ignore it, please don't mind me. I'm a noob at this. But at any rate, I have Dad's second sock yet to do. I'm casting it on soon once I've got the newer camera, because I have this idea for a video in which I go through all of the thoughts that go through your mind when knitting an inordinately large sock. This is the sock that never ends. It just goes on and on, my friend. And the last thing that I have been working on that's not sewing, because the last thing I was working on that was sewing is now done, and you will be seeing that on YouTube soonish. This is another shawl. And I don't know whether the Logitech camera can really pick up just how bright these colors are, but in the right light, they are eye-searing. I am now on the last of 3 balls of Red Heart Boutique, I think it is, or Red Heart Unforgettable. I seem to have lost... I think that the crochet hook is upstairs, actually, on the console between our chairs in the living room, but this is a shawl that I had started for my niece and at some point put it aside to work on other things and didn't get back to it. And now I'm getting back to it because the girl needs a warm hug that she can take with her wherever she goes. Now, when I started doing crochet, I decided to start with acrylic because it can be less expensive than real wool. So I am hoping very much that my niece does not decide to wear this to a bonfire party, because that could be very bad. They used to burn redheads at the stake in the Middle Ages. I'd rather they not continue the tradition. Put that back. Grab the tea. So that's what I've been working on. A lot of crochet. A lot less knitting than I'm used to, but then over the past couple of years, I have been doing more. I've been doing kind of whatever handwork comes my way because I've been doing more sewing than anything else. Mainly because that's what people on YouTube seem to like. They seem to like watching me dodder through sewing adventures, and it's kind of weird. Back to the Final Fantasy. At some point, I am thinking what I may do is I may try to recreate a more historically adequate version of one or more of the items in Final Fantasy, because they do seem to draw on a lot of European styles, which is kind of cool. There are times when I'm playing this game where I wander through it and I go, I wonder how I would make that, and make it so that it looks kind of, you know, historically adequate. Lady Lilac Vine says, I have a wonderful story if you are interested. It is knitting related. I am always interested in knitting stories. But while you are typing, I am going to take Madeline here and find out what it is that Thubergeim wants of her. Lady Lilac Vine. I got sent a garage sale notification on Facebook. Yarn and sewing supplies. I ventured into the world and came upon a wonderful deal. The entire garage was filled with yarn of all weights, colors, and ingredients. Oh my. 50-gallon trash bag filled for $25 US. I obliged and now have enough yarn to make gifts for the next year easy. My husband weighed it. It is over 15 pounds of yarn. Wow. Congratulations, Lady Lilac Vine. You win. That is a lot of yarn. That is definitely a lot of yarn. I agree with Pet Store Girl right there. So what are you going to do with that 15 pounds of yarn? With that much yarn, I'm wondering if there's like sweaters worth, or if there's enough to make a sweater. Snagged a lot of cotton for dish towels. Made sure to get all of the dye lot if I could. Good idea. Yeah, making sure that you've got all of a dye lot is really important. As it is the shawl that I'm making for my mother-in-law, I found out after the fact. I had bought 2 other skeins of yarn and then found out that it required 2 balls. Like I'd bought 2 skeins with the idea being that I would make 2 shawls. Turns out you need 2 skeins, period, to make 1 shawl. So I was trying to pick up a second ball, and Mum basically told me, no, that's all wrong. Try this other one. 6 skeins of mohair, 10 to 12 of alpaca, and 6 of the fluffy baby blanket stuff. Ooh, fluffy. Fluffy is good. As long as it's fluffy. I mean, at one point Mum gave me all of her old baby yarn, and it was the acrylic stuff, which, you know, fair enough. Acrylics. But it was from the years before they decided to start actually making baby yarn really soft. I mean, it was soft enough, but not in the way that you want baby yarn to be soft these days. I guess it's a matter of, you know, sign of the times. But 6 skeins of mohair. Depending on how big the skein is, that could make a sweater. It'd be the 1980s all over again. What would I do with 10 to 12 skeins of alpaca? I guess it would depend on what gauge it is, whether it's all the same colorway. I mean, if it's sock weight, definitely socks or a shawl. There are a lot of folks making sweaters these days out of sock weight yarn, which, having not made a lot of sweaters, I am not sure whether that is bravado or whether it's masochism. My jury is still out on that. I was desperate not to show my excitement at the alpaca. The struggle is real. The struggle is real. Actually, my brother and sister-in-law one year, either for Christmas or my birthday, or just because they happened to be in a place that had it, wound up getting me a nice big bag. Like, I'm talking like, if you're in one of those spinning clubs, it's easily, you know, what they would consider a double dose of fiber. So I have a nice big bag of lovely natural colored alpaca that at some point I need to spin up and turn into something really nice. I just haven't done so yet because I want it to look good. So at some point, maybe once I've got the new camera, might have to set up the spinning wheel and spend an evening doing that, and we'll see what we can get up to. Merch C. I am in the middle of making a couch blanket. Crazy wide, but not as long. It is all out of acrylic, but that's good for dye lots and kids spilling things on it. Acrylic's good for that. I have to admit it. I used to really buy into the whole yarn snob thing of, you know, it has to be all natural fibers. And then I realized that everything has its utility. Natural fibers are great for warmth. They're great for wicking away sweat. They're good for keeping in warmth and some moistures. So if you are outside and playing in the snow and you get wet, well, even if it's a layer that's close to you, it's more likely to keep you warm. Whereas if you are, for instance, a bicyclist and you're wearing, say, a mohair cycling sweater, it's more likely to wick away your sweat and keep you cool. So everything has its place. Acrylics, I have found, are really good for large-scale projects that you need inexpensive yarns. Things that are kind of experimental in nature. Stuff that, yes, is going to be around kids, but not around fire, because acrylic is plastic, and the last thing you need is a kid being around burning plastic. Anybody being around burning plastic, to be very honest. But something that, you know, you can just toss over the back of a couch, and if you're feeling cold on a winter's night, just be able to snuggle underneath it. And then if somebody has popcorn on their grimy fingers, or, you know, popcorn grease on their grimy fingers, or they spill a soda on it, you can just toss it into the washer or the dryer. Perfect for that. I mean, I'm sure you could do the same thing with a lot of the wool blends that you can get these days, but a lot of those tend to be rather expensive, and you're looking at sweater quantities of yarn at that point. And yeah, obviously yarn is something that you can get me talking for multiple minutes about, so consider yourselves warned. Let's talk to Thubergeim here. So that is where I am going to leave things tonight. I am going to see if I can find another time to do a little bit more streaming. I do actually enjoy it. Definitely when I get the new camera, we'll be able to do a little bit more crafty stuff, which should be good. Should be fun. And in the meantime, keep an eye out. The new video will be coming pretty darn soon. I've got somebody jumping on my screen. Setsuna Yuki the True. If that is one of you guys, hello. If not, they are certainly joyful. But I will see you guys again later on. You have a good night. If you are getting up to anything cool, let me know. Drop me a line. Bye. See, now I've got to take a look at my stream deck and find out where exactly things are so that I can end stuff. Not the most graceful exit ever, I know. Have a good night, folks.